I'm Joanna Roach, Executive Director of GSN Planet. Thank you for joining us. We are wanting to continue on with some of our conversations about what's happening in the time of Corona. So thought it would be a good idea to get a group together and talk about what's happening for all of you right now, since we're kind of in a flare-up, so to speak. I want to say thank you to Megan, who's in the control room, managing our comings and goings and all the other Zoom things. And also to say welcome to Thor, who's going to talk a little bit about the pivot that he's had to do during this time. I see Tracy, who's one of our board members, so welcome. Thank you for joining us today. And since we have a small group and I think we can all talk, right, Megan?
Yeah, you should all be able to talk. You just have to unmute your mic and your camera, if possible, so we can all have a good chat.
Great. So what I probably will do is go around and have everybody introduce themselves and say where you are located and talk a little bit about what's happening in your area, so to speak, because I think that would be a good way to sort of kick this off. I don't know what's happened to my Zooming. Here we go. There we go. All right. So I'm going to go in the order that I see you. Thank you for joining us today. Bryce Wolf, let's start with you. Tell us where you are and what's happening in your area.
So I'm from Arizona, just recently joined Oakworks, and it's kind of going up again, spiking up a little bit. They're not really shutting everything down here in Arizona yet, so which is kind of nice, still letting people go out, which is okay. But I have a feeling here come January that they will start to close some stuff down just to kind of get the cases down.
Got it. Okay. Thanks for joining us today. Christy.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm in Puerto Rico, and I guess yesterday, Monday, we started a new lockdown and curfew. Sundays are completely closed here, which happened before. Curfew's 9 p.m. I haven't seen that it's affected businesses again yet in terms of shutting down personal care businesses. But it's been really, it's, tomorrow or in 2 days, we're implementing new restrictions. So I haven't heard of those, but expect that could be coming because the government here is pretty proactive in terms of trying to keep us safe and making those decisions, but stay tuned.
Okay, all right. John Carls, I see that beautiful tree behind you.
It's Christmas in the lobby here. I'm John Quarles. I'm at the Brown Palace in Denver, Colorado. Denver went under our red level restrictions the week before Thanksgiving. They actually created a new level of purple, which moved personal services to still be open, running at 25% capacity. All indoor dining is currently closed. Gym facilities are down to 10% capacity. We are still operating, other than at the 25% level, really the same as previously. Thank goodness.
Oh. All right, Jessica, nice to see you.
Hi there. I am Jessica with Oakworks, and I'm in San Diego, California. California is really tough right now, on complete lockdown. I'll be interested to hear from some of the spas that are on as well. We received emergency text messages from our governor that we are only supposed to go outside for essentials. So, the state of California.
Okay. All right. Dan Wolford, hi. How are you?
Hey, Joanne. Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Good. Yeah. I'm with Virox Technologies, the makers of Rejuvenate, based in Ontario, Canada. And right now, everything's still open. Some of the regions are starting to go into the red zone, and quite anxious to see what comes in the new year. I think over the holiday season, we'll see a lot more of the areas go into the red zone, and unfortunately it seems that restaurants and personal services seem to be the first ones to kind of take the brunt of that. So yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us today. Daphne, where are you in the world?
I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And here, we're in lockdown as well for a few weeks now. although a few spas are still operating, so I'm still getting requests from the company I usually get massages from, like every week, like if I'm interested in going. But people are hesitating a little bit more these days. And I'm working a lot right now internationally, and I see how Europe is locking down again, and Latin America seems really promising. Tons of projects, delayed a little bit, but tons of things happening. Really interesting.
Wow. Okay. Great. I see. Let's see. Michael Wensley. Do you want to weigh in? Hi.
Yes, sorry, I'm going to spare you. I've had a flood recently, and we're in the middle of a remodel here. I'm with Eminence Organic Skincare. I am here on behalf of Boldajard and Attila. Boldajard is preparing to go back to Hungary. Attila is coming back from Hungary. So their plate is full, and I'm here to observe and report for their behalf.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us. Heidi Rosebud. See where Heidi is. Okay, maybe not. All right. Debbie, welcome. Hi, I see you.
Hi, Joanna. Hi, everybody.
Why don't you tell us what's going on in London?
Well, we are, as of tomorrow, on what they call Tier 3, but what is effectively lockdown. All the hotels have to close, but spas are staying open.
Wow.
Which I have to say is mainly a result of the UK Spa Association battling with the government for the past, 6 months. They basically have been battling and proving that there is no danger. And they've been successful. I mean, it took till July till they were first allowed to open, and they've I think what happened was they managed to get somebody in government to listen to them. So yeah, so that's yeah. But hotel closing, the problem is that spas that are within hotels are closing because the hotels are closing, and some spas that are on the high street are operating. But again, it depends where they're located as to what they can do. But generally speaking, it's miserable.
Need to count my bag.
Okay. Adam, would you like to weigh in?
Call.
Something's happening with Adam. All right, we'll go over to Elena. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry, I was moving myself.
Hi, thanks for joining us today. Tell us what's happening. I know you're in Florida, so tell us what's happening there.
We're in Florida. I mean, we were just talking about yesterday. We feel like we're in a different lifetime than everybody else. So for us, I mean, fortunately, it's been still very busy. Like, I mean, the hotels are trending like 80-90% occupancy over the weekends. During the week, it slows down a bit. But yeah, my spa, I mean, this week has been actually one of the slowest week for us in the spa since, I would say, August. But then usually December starts like that. The first 2 weeks are a little bit softer, and then, you know, around the holidays, it picks up. So we've been doing really well in terms of spa revenue. Like September, October, November, I'm like pretty much in line with like last year, if not even over it. So, which is, I know, wow. Then we're like, our facilities in Miami-Dade are still closed. So we're only like taking guests for services. Steam room, sauna, locker rooms, that's still to remain, and showers remains closed due to the CDC and Miami-Dade guidelines. So we usually recommend guests to arrive 5 minutes if it's a hotel guest, if it's a local 10 to 15, and then we take them straight to the treatment room. So we'll see how the rest of this year will be, but it's predicting to be a busy.
Wow, so different in all of these locations. Adam's messaging me. Adam, why don't you weigh in?
Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. I'm at my front desk with 0 employees here in Southern California. We currently are still having our retail open. We have an outdoor gym set up for hotel guests and members. We were trying to stay open to allow for the potential of being able to do services. California is allowing it to where you can perform massages, but a doctor or chiropractor has to basically give a referral. And the only way that they're kind of allowing it is if you have a chiropractor on site. People are kind of working around in gray areas throughout the area around this. We're trying to hope to navigate through it a little bit easier, but it still just is too vague to really feel comfortable from a hotel standpoint. There is a coalition that has formed within California. Bill owner Burke Williams, Scott Duncan with Spa Gregory's, and some others that have hired a lobbyist to basically lobby the governor and California state to allow spas to continue opening. They've done that within the purple tier, but haven't been able to get it passed with the current shutdown. So they're still working towards that. So hopefully some good news in the future, but I'd be interested to hear what UK Spa Association did in order to get England to allow that to occur.
Well, if you want to email me, I can connect you with Helena, who's been doing most of the campaigning. It was quite funny because we have a monthly suppliers meeting, and when it started, she was saying, we're waiting for the government to tell us what to do. And I said, no way, you have to be active. And they have been, and they've been extremely successful. And I think it really makes, I think what they've done is they've made sure that they get data that proves that infections in spas is not, I think it's 0.0 something %. So in terms of the danger, they've proven that the infection rate is very low. Medical masks and visors within spas for any treatments, and not all treatments are allowed. So like, I mean, I think certain, but yeah, I mean, if you, I'll put on the chat my email address, email me yours, and I will just introduce
Thank
you.
you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. They've done an amazing job, I have to say. Really, really a lot, working very, very hard with great results.
Awesome. Thank you, Debbie.
Right.
Tracy, hi. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, hi everyone. I am actually in Florida, newly transplanted from Chicago, and talk about a dichotomy. Oh my goodness. Coming from Chicago, where we were basically in a stay-at-home kind of thing, and now in Florida, like Alina said, it's like the wild, wild west down here. It's a totally different world. But I'm with Hydrofacial, and what we've been experiencing as a company is we are definitely seeing a recovery, and largely due, I think, to the bulk of our business being in the medical spa arena with doctors, plastics, derms, and the medical spas. Some of them never closed, so that helped. But my job in particular is with the non-medical in primarily hospitality and the multi-location day spa groups. So I've been just, trying to be as supportive as possible. I feel like I'm seeing a little bit of a trend of activity in hospitality. We're getting some, quote requests, and but again, it's so regional and case by case all over the country. So it's hopefully into Q2 we'll see some big improvements in the non-medical side.
All right, Marcy, thanks for joining us. Would you like to weigh in? Or maybe no. We can go back to Heidi Rosebud. Okay, I think I've given everybody a chance to say hi. All right, I wanted to have Thor talk a little bit because he recently has done this pivot, and I think it reflects one of the trends that we're going to see in spa and wellness. So I'm going to turn it over to Thor to talk a little bit about what he's up to.
Thanks. So Northern California is very much like Southern California in terms of the lockdown. Hotels are only allowed to have guests that are related to healthcare, which is really difficult. A brand new hotel opened up in Healdsburg, and to see them have their launch kind of usurped by this. But you know, from my standpoint, Osmosis had to eliminate the general manager's position. So I was left without a job after being laid off most of the time anyway. It gave me the opportunity to look around in the area, and I've landed with a project that's in downtown Sebastopol. It's a 3-story building. It's called the Livery on Main, and it hosts the Farm to Coast Collective. It's a food hall on the first floor with 5 different outlets that reflect the Farm to Coast Collective. And we're right now in the process of interviewing potential licensees for that. The second level will have a tasting room and a co-work space. And the third level will have a rooftop bar, banquet space, and event center. So with my involvement, I'm bringing green and I'm bringing wellness to this project. So we're looking to, on the 3rd floor, potentially having personal trainers during the day to occupy that space, utilize the event space for group exercise, and give the co-work members the opportunity to have wellness as part of their membership to the co-work space. And then the food can go through all 3 floors. So really excited, you know, love building teams and love working with a project from the ground up. And this is my first opportunity. Have a meeting right after this, and really excited to be a part of that.
All right, that's great. Thanks, Thor, for sharing about that. So I'm wondering if we can just have like an open conversation about some of the challenges that we see going into first quarter and what people are sort of expecting. So people can jump in and we can just have a conversation about this. You know, I can say that from where Megan and I are sitting, there has definitely been an interest in having conversation about what this sort of second surge looks like and how people are dealing with it. I think one of the topics that I've heard a lot of interest in is who actually has had experience with having therapists or folks on their staff who've had COVID, and what have you done about it? Because I don't think we've really flushed out maybe enough information about that or heard enough sort of firsthand accounts of that. So I don't know if anybody wants to or can speak to that.
I'll just say something, as I just recently had the spa. Our spa has been open for 6 months, and fortunately we didn't have any till about 2 weeks ago. One of my therapists, she got tested because her dad was positive for COVID, and she got tested, and then she received a positive test. So we had to take her off the schedule. We escorted her. She's actually coming back tomorrow. She's negative again. She had to quarantine. And then my other therapist is her roommate. So he had to, even though he's negative and he tested, he still had to quarantine. So I was down 2 therapists for about 2 weeks. And that's why I decided now, especially for holidays, if it continues, and for us in Florida, it's season, if it continues to busy, just to add extra few therapists in instances like this, because you have to be prepared. Just if somebody gets tested and they test positive, you have to take them off the schedule. So that's what instance was in our case. Fortunate, they're fortunate that they hardly had any symptoms. The one that did test positive, so she just said she had light headache and would get just a little bit dizzy and, just the tiredness. That was like the first few days.
Elena, how did you deal with the guests that person may have come in contact with, and what was that experience like?
So what we do in our hotel, we also have hotels have hired, when we reopen, we have a person that is hold on, I'll give you her title. She does, just give me one, I'm trying to find her email. So they hired her, she's in charge of Director of Environmental Health and Safety. So her job is to ensure that every single department follows all the protocols that they're designed or, assigned to their departments, that, all the chemicals that we use, that everybody's is certified on it. So, and then in cases like this, what we do, we went back to see for the 5 days that this employee has worked, checked all the guests that she was in contact with, and the hotel in those cases, they call the guest and they just inform them. We never really reveal the employee's name, but we just inform them that they might have been in contact with an employee who has tested positive. I mean, a lot of what we find, a lot of people actually find that appreciative, and they thank, because not too many, like if you're on an airplane flight, you're not even going to know that you were sitting next to somebody who could have been positive. So I think in the hotel environment, for them, they appreciate. We had one of the guests in this instance who was like, oh, don't worry, I was just I had a COVID 2 weeks ago, that's why I'm traveling now. So everybody reacts differently, but majority of people just thank you, and some don't even answer the calls, but we do, as our obligation, try to contact all the guests that they've been in touch with.
Does anybody else want to share anything along those lines? Similar experiences, different experiences? John, I know that you've been open probably the longest time. What's been your experience with this?
Yeah, we opened back Mother's Day, so gosh, what is that, 8 months now, right in that area? I've been very fortunate. We've had no positive tests. I've definitely had some people that have had some symptoms, had them go get tested. All of them came back negative, fortunately. But with that, of course, some very short notice, pulling them off the schedule, waiting for results to come back, kind of aspects. And so I have done very similar. I have actually bulked up the staffing just a little bit so that I do have some more talent pool to pull from. But as this on they're very understanding. We always kind of put that in the better safe than sorry situation. Sorry, we're not able to accommodate your appointment, but we don't want to, put you with an infected person or potentially infected person. And I will say that they've all been extremely understanding, and I think they take it pretty well. Because we are trying to look out, obviously, for their best interest, the rest of our team's interest, and obviously don't want to pass it down the line to anybody else.
Mm-hmm. All right. And anyone else want to comment on that? Okay. The other thing that I thought that we should talk about is right along the lines of what Adam and Debbie were talking about, because I have heard that there is some movements brewing around having massage and other types of spa services declared essential services, so that it can be reclassified and put into a different category. But it sounds like California, if they've hired a lobbyist, and also Debbie, your spa association, it seems like they've been successful in getting this sort of reclassification. Have any of you in other areas heard of similar activities happening? I guess in Florida it might not matter.
I don't know of anything official on the Colorado end, but the one thing I will say that I found impressive, obviously when this originally happened, spa, restaurant, gyms, bars were all lumped into that same category. And for Colorado, they've definitely made that shift and kind of pulled spas away from gyms, restaurants, and bars, which I'm really impressed that they took the time to look at that, realize it's a more controlled environment. Obviously, we control the movement of the people, control the cleanliness on a person-to-person basis, can actually control the actual cleaning aspects where, restaurants and bars and gyms, unfortunately, just don't necessarily have that ability. So I'm thrilled with the government aspect here. They were actually able to pull that separation, put us kind of at one step higher than those facilities.
Mm-hmm.
Gyms are open. Gyms are open in the UK, but you're not allowed to have classes. But you can have you can go to the gym individually, which is amazing. But I think the argument that they put there, well, there's two arguments. One is that generally people that exercise that are in good health are less susceptible to COVID. And secondly, that generally the people that go to gyms are the younger age groups, which are less likely to end up in hospitals. So I don't know what it's like in the US, but in the UK, it's been very focused, COVID on age and on health, on people with health issues. So diabetes, any people that are overweight, and so generally the people that actually attend gyms regularly have a better chance of not suffering the virus because of the level of health. So that's been the argument, and they seem, I mean, the gyms were not open in July, so there's been major change.
That's totally interesting. Just in Massachusetts where I live, one of the things that's happened is that just this week the yoga studios are still open, but now they're making you wear a mask, and it's down to 40% of occupancy. So it was before that you didn't have to wear the mask when you were on your mat, and all the mats had to be 6 feet away. But now you have to wear the mask through the entire time, and it's 40% of the people who are supposed to be in the room. But gyms are still open. Massage places are still open. Although occupancy in restaurants has been reduced to 10%. So they're really trying to encourage them to do takeout. But nothing's happened with retail. People are still shopping.
Same with us. Retail is open, restaurants and hotels are shut.
Right. Hotels here are still open.
Yeah,
they were, but now they're shutting. From tomorrow, they're all shut. It's it's tough.
An interesting thing in Northern California, in float spas were never shut down because they had position statements about how the treatment against mental and recognition of that by the health departments and universally through the state is something our industry needs to make sure that we have position statements on massage and on spa services that reflect that positive effect to mental health as well as physical health. And once we can get that proven to them, we're not in this position, but they haven't recognized it yet. I think they're beginning to look at it, but that's probably what the group that Scott and the Southern California group is going to appeal to.
I agree. I think there's an argument to be made for, the immunity benefits of doing anything like this for, the body and the spirit. So I think it's a matter of organizing. It is very interesting. Anybody else have any comments they want to make about any of these topics? All right, I will throw out another topic for conversation. So I think we've seen a great deal of innovation around the products that we're using, whether it be for PPE or the way that product companies have, adapted, equipment type things. What else is on the horizon? What things have we not thought about that we think we might see in the next 6 months? Because at the marketplace, it will continue to change and evolve based on this event. And I know that GSN is getting asked all the time about, single-use plastics and PPE. And I know there's a lot of conversation about disposable masks and masks being recycled. So love to hear some of your thoughts on that, and anyone can kind of jump in.
I think a real development, because spas had to do this to remain open, was the outdoor services. And those spaces now, you know, it's a little too cool now here, but they were so enjoyed during the time that we were able to utilize them, that I think that's a permanent change to the way we do business now, is that opportunity to get out from under the roof and extend where you can do things. And then that correlation to the natural sounds that you'd encounter in nature that you wouldn't otherwise if you were in a treatment space.
I think that's
You know, what I've been seeing is there's also the day spas that are in, you know, in the middle of a huge city, and they still need to figure out how to survive and how to offer a safe space. And one of the things that we're seeing is how a lot of spas are starting to add, when possible, different technologies for air sanitization. And then, and it's not only to have a safe space for the client, but also in the last projects, I've been adding these kind of technologies to the dispensary, to the, you know, to those spaces where there's a lot of interaction between the different therapists, either because they're going for linens or because, you know, they're going for amenities. And that place is kind of like a safe space for them now, because they might be coming back from a therapy and now they can breathe and they know that that space, it's kind of like a sense space for them. They feel safe, the air has been cleaned, it's been empty for a few minutes, it's good. It just kind of like relieves you a little bit.
Daphne, what are you using in those spaces?
We're offering two technologies, Atmos Air that combines bipolar ionization of air and UVC. And then we're just launching a new one that it's called the Puri, I'm sorry, I can't remember, Purify. I'll give you more information on that one. But it's basically the same technology. You know, you kind of, it's ionization, and then there's another one that we are about to launch where it also attracts different substances that could be a product of different chemical treatments that could be done for hair, for example. So that's going to be kind of like a trend, sanitation of air with different technologies. And there are some that, you know, they're starting to make them less bulky. You won't really be minding them. They could be attached to a wall. There could be part of the whole central system, or they can be a standalone. You know, they don't need to be that expensive. They could be just like these little units that you can add to a kitchen or something. I can send you some information on those if you want to.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. Yeah, that it's so interesting that the different levels of innovation that have happened kind of across the board. What about, I'm curious about, and Tracy, I'm going to ask you about facials, right? Because I think that we've heard a lot that massages have sort of recovered and kept going, but I haven't heard as much about facials. What has been your feedback or experience?
On the medical side, it's pretty open, seemingly pretty much anywhere where there's not a significant shutdown, which is, again, totally saved us. And, you know, I think being able to have that medical side, even like for day spas now, maybe even considering, you know, what would it take to add a medical director or something, not to totally transform your business, but potentially help if this were to happen in the future. Keeping the doors open longer. But on the medical side, we seem to be doing great. On the hospitality, non-medical side, again, it's so hit or miss depending on the local rules and regulations. But again, I do think like in some areas, it does feel like there's an awakening and some more activity, which was very positive the last month or so until California and some of the other places started to do more severe shutdowns. So I don't know. It's just so all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anybody else want to share anything about that? John, yep, go ahead. What's been your experience?
couple little items there. Skincare has been available, boy, the last 2 months or so in Colorado. Mask and shield on the esthetician. Guest obviously takes their mask off for the facial itself. And it's been a solid business. It's, I mean, business all around on my property. I'm about 10 to 15% down from last year. Facials are probably down about 20% total on there. So it continues to be a strong area for us. I think, when you start talking about taking off the mask, we do get a little concern on our personal end and on the guest end. And so I think that's contributes to that piece of business being down. And I just want to jump backwards just a little bit is, our attention, obviously, these last 8 months or so have really been drawn on COVID and sanitation of areas and keeping people safe. And you mentioned the disposable masks and obviously the abundance of gloves. And I see them walking down the street, laying all over the place. And I think once we can kind of get past this, I really think the sustainability aspect and the green aspect is going to come back. I mean, tenfold to what it was pre-COVID, because I think we're going to look back at the last 12 months or so and be obviously a little appalled by what we've done just in that disposable world that we've created at the moment to protect ourselves, obviously. But I think that green concept and stuff is going to come back extremely strong across the board, obviously in our business, which it always has been, but I think it's going to really take off.
Oh. Yeah, I do. We can hope so, right?
I'll piggyback on what John said, and as it relates to innovation, I'm an ambassador and work with the global wellness sector that specializes in private equity and investment firms. And one of the things that was really encouraging for me to hear about some of the largest investment groups is that they're actually have a renewed vigor for investing in brick and mortar wellness, believe it or not, for a couple of reasons. One, the space with Peloton and all of the in-home wellness is saturated. Not to say that it's going to go away, not to say that it's not critical, but really wellness at the core, mental health is loneliness. And so as we emerge out of this, as we have seen spas that are able to remain open, they have been at capacity, especially with massage. And they've been seeing longer services and larger tickets, whether it be 90 minutes or 120 tickets, because people are just so hungry for touch. I know there's a lot of talk about touchless therapies, and I think that's certain important aspect of wellness, but at the core, we're really still seeing that people, when they have capacity, they're flocking to it. So I loved hearing that in the investment space and where some of the ambassadors we work with, they're more passionate about brick and mortar than ever. That was really shocking to me. And then, we've been very, very busy both perfecting our tables to make sure that they're multi-treatment and aspect, that there is touchless woven in, and the ability to perform massage and the ability to perform facials. And we're starting to see people skim back a little bit on some of their capital expenditure budgets for next year. Gone are the days where people are buying $10,000 and $8,000 tables. Some are, don't get me wrong, but that's really starting to minimize. And so we're really looking at streamlining things to make sure, and value engineering things to bring a complete level of luxury and wellness at a certain price point. And that's coming through we probably did 10 years worth of work in 2 months to streamline our manufacturing practices and bring down some of the cost of goods. And I promise I'm not doing a commercial, but it's just fascinating. And then lastly, we have invested in one of the only welding machines in the United States that will completely eliminate seams for disinfecting purposes in some of the tops. And also from a sustainability standpoint, all of our tops across all of our tables now, for the veterans on the call, which is most of you, you're gonna go, oh my gosh, why didn't we think about this? But every single top that we make, even on an electric lift table, is now replaceable. So you don't have to buy a new table. So that's just really huge from a manufacturing standpoint and sustainable. And then also just anticipating disinfecting is not going away. And so we wanted to make sure that we were ahead of that curve.
Right. Right. I think that brings up a really good point. I've also heard a lot of conversation around the level of disinfection that we are now accustomed to. And I think the spa industry has taken some criticism that we didn't have this level of cleanliness before this happened. And certainly I doubt that it's going to go away. I think that, I know the first couple of times that I got a massage, the fact that all the soft goods were taken out of the massage room and the room was completely bare, I think felt jarring to me. But I don't know when we will go back to having objects that are unneeded in a massage room. Does anybody want to talk about that, or a treatment room? Maybe Christy, that would be a good question for you.
I think as we come out of this, which is like maybe a little more fully a year from now, and we look to how we can go back to how things were a year and a half ago, I think people still are going to want that tactile, the touch and all the senses, and we do it with some of those things. It's with the more luxurious table linens, not necessarily the most expensive, but things that feel luxurious, everything that we can do to put the senses back in, which is why people are going. And it may just look different. We may not ever do magazines again because, right, they do get dirty and torn and ripped. And, maybe now we just give them the digital access, in the spa, or we use QR codes for our menus instead of all these printed menus. I think hopefully we'll learn some lessons and say this is more efficient now, and we're not doing it because we're in a pandemic, we're doing it because it's just more efficient and cost effective. So I think some of those things hopefully will change, but I don't see that tactile sensory experience going away forever. That's part of what makes us who we are.
Anybody else want to talk about that?
I have a question though, and this is for Jessica, Daphne, and the people who are purchasing for spas. Some of the equipment that we came out with over the course of over this year, like the shields on the table to do facials, to separate the esthetician from the guest, did those sell? How did those do? Did people did they buy them? Did they not? Did they say, well, we'll just wear our masks and face shields and that'll be the same? Yeah, I know some of the things that sold really well, but did those types of barriers, did they get put into operations?
I am adding those to every single project. From, I have a few here in the United States and Caribbean and Latin America. And so that education, salon, and spa. And then I'm also adding, like just this morning, I had 3 projects where I added table warmers, and the spa directors were like, oh my God, why are you adding that? I'm like, because every single manufacturer came up with medical grade tops that can be cleaned really easily. So at the beginning, people panicked and they removed that. And now, it's just like, you kind of like create a sandwich where you add the table warmer, then you add the top, and then it's easily cleanable. So I guess everybody's starting to get more creative now, and we are finding solutions to make it still comfortable, still enjoyable, and then a little bit more safe. So yeah, we're adding those.
I would say there's a lot of decisions at a corporate level to put them in. We sold out of a lot of ours, and then we had to bring in new inventory. I will say that the feedback that I'm getting on the day-to-day basis is a mix. And so what that means is that some therapists, beauty therapists, adopt to them and love them and don't want to be without them. Some guests want to have them around for a level of comfort. And then other therapists feel like they're cumbersome and that they get in the way. And so just like anything with any operation, it's wise to have a few around. Some locations mandate it, and it has been, it is what it is. And then other locations open it up and have mixed reviews about it. So from a commercial, order standpoint, gone off the shelf, hearing it in a day-to-day operations you know, you hear different level of things. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, great. Thank you. All right, we're coming sort of to the close of our session. Does anybody have anything else they want to share, or a topic they want to bring up, or questions for each other? Anyone? All right. That was great.
I got
go
one
ahead.
little one. There was a
Go
mention
for
on
it. No.
ticket prices, and it's really funny. I actually was just looking at this morning. My average ticket price last year this time was 146 and change. This year it's 178 and change. It's up over $30 per ticket right now. So the spend is there. Obviously volume is down. The number of people through the door is down, but the people coming through the door are still spending. They're still looking for that quality, that experience. Even if we're talking about the rooms stripped down, I took everything out of the rooms, but they still want to get that amazing experience, have that people interaction. That touch factor is extremely real. I do believe that the long-term future does have a combination of touchless and touch services involved. But the spend is there, and I think people are really, especially the longer this goes on, really craving and missing that contact, which especially us as Americans, we don't tend to like to do that regardless. And so I think that it's extremely important for that long-term mental health in there.
John, can I ask you a question? What do you attribute that additional 30-something dollars to? Are they buying longer length of services? Are they buying upgrades in the room? Are they buying more expensive services? What do you account for that?
I will say I believe that it's a good combination of a couple items. It is definitely duration of service. We are certainly booking more of that 85 minutes where we work, 85-minute service compared to the 55-minute service. They are definitely pushing. They just don't want that standard Swedish. They are looking for more of those signature kind of items out there, carrying that higher price point. And retail, while my number of people through the door is down, the people coming through the door are actually purchasing more items.
Great, thank you.
Good. That's promising. Thank you for sharing and having us end on a positive note. All right, well, from all of us to all of you, just want to wish you happy holidays. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, and so happy we can share and support each other with our ideas and our questions. So,
I have another question.
Oh, sure.
How'd your auction go?
It went very well. Thank you so much. We're waiting for the final count, but it was very well received, and we were really excited and happy to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. Bye, everyone.
Bye.